Hello, this is Roth Conrad on American Safari, americansafari.org. Today I'm in Gainesville with Murshida VA at her home. I guess it's just a little bit outside of Gainesville. And we're just going to have a little conversation. How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
How are you?
I'm good. What I'd like to start out with is maybe a brief summary of your life. Nice and simple.
Now, what I do is tell stories about my life. So, I was a breech birth, a month late.
A breech birth?
A breech birth.
Is that like a C-section?
No, that's born backwards.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, I used to say that I spent the first part of my life... Am I supposed to look at the camera or at you? Because I want to look at you.
Look at me.
All right. So, guys, I won't be looking at you. Sorry. I used to say that I was born backwards and a month late because I was going, no! Don't put me back there! I know I signed the contract, but it changed my mind. So, but I've since pretty much adjusted. Raising Kat was good for me.
And Kat's your daughter?
Kat, yes, Miss Kat Elizabeth is my daughter. And I was married to her dad, and I left him when she was 2.5. I packed her up, and I moved to Florida, went to grad school, made trouble in all kinds of various ways. Interesting. I guess you could say I spent the first part of my life training in the arts pretty seriously. And then what?
The arts as painting, music?
Oh, dance, music, and theater.
Okay.
Okay, and I was writing a lot. So included in that is poetry and spoken word and performance art. So basically I'm trained as a performance artist.
Okay.
Right? But performance art didn't really exist when I was in my teens as an art form. So it was sort of a matter of doing a bunch of different things and then gradually realizing that they fit together and wondering what I was supposed to do with that. And I had a sense that it was going to fit together. And then, I got married and I got pregnant, and then it became clear that I was going to be a single mom with a very uninvolved father. So I thought I should do something practical with my life so that I could be responsible and raise my child. And since I've always had a gift for doing what are commonly called psychic readings, which is basically a form of intuitive counseling, I decided to go to graduate school for mental health because I thought, well, I'll get trained in this and then I can do it and I'll have a license and I'll never hurt anybody. I'll learn how not to harm people, which I used to be concerned, what if I say the wrong thing? Mm-hmm. And got great training, Jungian training, Gestalt training, feminist training. Ended up as a psychic reader with great training.
And you made money?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I worked with a woman opening the first psychic tent in a theme park in the world. And Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. It's called Mystics of the Seven Veils. I thought, here I am with my 3 degrees.
And your degrees at that time were?
Well, I have a bachelor's in music and literature, and I have a master's and a specialist degree in mental health counseling.
Okay.
And I worked in prisons, and I've loved working in prisons, but it's very hard to be a single mom and work in prisons because the hours are long and you come home exhausted. So by the time my daughter was 8 years old, I'm thinking, she doesn't have a dad, and I come home exhausted, and this isn't working. So I actually asked her opinion, and I said, I can keep doing this, and we'll have plenty of money, and you won't see me so much, or I can stop doing this and freelance, and we'll have less money, but you'll see me more. And she said, you. And I said, done. And thus the adventure began. That was the coolest decision I've ever made. It was completely unconventional, and it wasn't a safe decision, and it was the best. Our life got very interesting. And thus I ended up doing readings from my basket of stones and bones at this theme park at Universal Studios Islands of Adventure, and then ended up managing 3 national psychic lines. So I'd work from home with like telephones and a computer. And
So you manage like the people when they call?
I hired, I fired, I trained, I scheduled, and I did readings online. That's how I supported Kat through high school, through her high school. That and nude modeling for the Ringling School of Art and Design.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have some friends that have done that.
It was great.
Yeah.
I, trained in yoga and I was a dancer, so they loved it. And I would just twist my body up into pretzels and sleep. They loved it.
That's a good way not to move.
Exactly.
Go to sleep.
I was always exhausted anyway because I was a single mom and I was like working all night long on the phone line, so I would sleep. Yeah. So, but the business, one of the things I've always wanted to do is start up a better psychic line, because these businesses were very corrupt, and eventually I left them because of that reason. And
so there's a lot of stipulation. Those things are just a joke. It's not.
They're not. I mean, the readers that I worked with were for real, but the greed operating underneath them was really scary. And the taking advantage of people was really scary. And taking advantage of people, I don't mean the clients. I mean the readers who were real readers who worked very hard, were paid nothing compared to the people who own the businesses. Mm-hmm. And there was one woman who really ran a good business from the point of view of integral readings and fair prices and paid her readers well, but she got addicted to prescription painkillers and became non-functional. So gradually I just kind of blew the whistle on everything and said, guys, I'm going to check out of this.
And so readings over the phone, like I know like with there's like with the palm and like person to person and things, but on the phone, how I guess some people are just.
Well, I've been reading for people for almost all my life. Like, it was a family game when I was a child. My parents had no belief in psychic anything. My father was an atheist. He just thought I was super bright. I mean, I had a high IQ. I have a high IQ, but my father thought it was just, IQ. Like, he would ask me questions, and I would give him these outrageous answers that were not appropriate for my age, so to speak. And it became a parlor game. So there I was, 3.5, 4 years old, doing readings all the time. Didn't know that's what I was doing. Grew up and thought it would be a cool thing to do. Studied. So later I found out from some indigenous shaman from Costa Rica that that's the best if you're born with a gift and you study. So I did the right thing by accident. And then I found the Sufis and studied more. And usually they say, you may not do readings. Instead, my teacher said, you should use your gift. So I do. But I think it was the practice of so many years of working with people, and also that I got interested in sound and working with the voice. So I got and my training also in Gestalt therapy helped, because there's a lot about listening to the sound of the voice, and you become very energetically attuned. So I would listen to the vibrations that were coming across, and I would get impressions. I would see things. So I think that's how I worked. Other people work differently, but that's how it was for me.
Well, let's see, where do we go from there?
So from performance art to psychic readings. Try to make a bridge there. Useless education.
What are you doing currently?
I'm a Sufi teacher.
Sufi teacher?
Yeah, and it's kind of like a weird thing to say, because I don't do zikrs or... a sheikh who lives here said, you don't really teach Sufism in the traditional sense. Well, we don't really know what's happening with this tradition. It's 6,000 years old. Sometime in the time of Muhammad, these mystics got called Sufis, but we were who knows what before that. Basically, this is a path of mysticism and magic that's heart-centered, that has its roots in ancient Egypt and also in ancient India. And I stumbled onto the teachers because I was having some strange experiences and I really needed some help. And I asked, and literally 3 dervishes came to my door in a 1 traffic light town in North Florida and took me to the teachers. And there's a little more to that story than that, but it's that weird. And so I started training, and that's how we eventually came to be to Sarasota and met you.
Because of a
because the largest Sufi community in this country is in Sarasota, Florida, and one of the world masters there is the teacher.
Now,
it's my teacher.
I've met several people that say, or that they've heard somewhere that like they don't really know like what Sufism is, or like Sufism.
I don't think we know what Sufism is.
Sufism that's in America isn't the real Sufism, or they don't know what they're doing or talking about. So
that's a great topic. Can you pause this so I can get the bread?
Yes.
Okay.